I got some good news and some bad news. Let's start with the bad news. So welfare really started, cash payments to poor people, usually women with children, started under FDR. And then they've been trying to get rid of it ever since, just like Social Security, And so starting in the mid-1960s, reforms were made in an attempt to push mothers out of the home, where some were caring for their children, and into the labor force through tax incentives and workfare programs. Right? So that in the 60s, like too many ladies staying home with their kids who are poor. Too many ladies staying home with their kids. So we're going to have a new program. Go work. And what are you going to do with your kids? I don't know. What will happen was workfare was unsuccessful because the wages that most welfare recipients could earn were not adequate to raising children in safety and health. Isn't that interesting? So, in fact, in 1996... And this goes into Hillary Clinton. She has her own. So that was in the 60s. They started doing that workfare. Didn't work. 1990s, Bill Clinton, they decided they're going to take a whack at welfare too. Remember they called black kids the predators, super predators, and he had his sister soldier moment when he had to humiliate Jesse Jackson to give his bona fides with the conservatives so I can stand up to those blacks. In 1996, according to her own telling, Hillary Clinton helped round up votes to pass the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. Doesn't that sound nice? The personal responsibility. Because, poor people, they're not personally responsible. They're bad people. And they're undisciplined. They're like animals. That's what Jesus said. Blessed are the poor. They're like animals, and they don't have personal responsibility. I think that's what Jesus said. Blessed are the poor. That legislation that significantly changed the country's cash assistance welfare program and pushed many people off the rolls. 70% of the people getting that assistance at the time they did this were what? Children. Yeah. Those goddamn irresponsible children.
They're lazy.
Oh.
They need to learn how to get food out of dumpsters.
They have no personal responsibility.
It's true.
So that's what the Clintons did in 1996 with that Orwellian-named act. It's called the Screw Over Poor People Act in the name of personal responsibility and opportunity. The Screw Over Poor People Act. Richest goddamn country. He's going to end this decade with a surplus in the federal treasury. How do we do it? On the backs of poor people. It helped. Maybe that didn't do it, but it certainly helped.
I bet you it helped privatize the jail system, too.
All right. We do a little private prisons. Despite the depiction of welfare recipients as people who didn't work and stayed on the rolls rather than get jobs, a large majority...
It's 5 o'clock.
A large majority had worked in a given year. So a large majority of the people who were receiving actually did do work at some point during the year. They wanted to work. And more than 40% left the program in less than 2 years. So almost half the people who were ever on this welfare program in the first place cycled in and out. They needed it for a little while, and then they get out of it 2 years later, within 2 years. Half of them. That doesn't sound like a program that needs fixing. It does if you're sucking up to the right wing and you want to beat poor people over the head as your whipping boy to make you seem reasonable and serious and mature. And now we don't want to give free stuff. The richest country the face of the earth has ever seen. We can't give free stuff to our poor people. We have to give free stuff to our billionaires. Clinton has defended that bill, by the way. But one of the important fallouts from it has been an increase in hardship among people at the very bottom. The number of families living at below half the poverty line is higher now than when that stupid welfare reform was passed in 1996. Ooh, way to go, Hillary. You care so much about the poor. Researchers have recently found that the share of people who live in extreme poverty or survive on $2 a day per person increased 159% since they passed that stupid beat up the poor Welfare Reform Act. Most other developed countries have universal child allowances, which give parents, no matter their circumstances, some amount of money for their children. Most developed countries realize, we should help out people raising kids. Maybe it would help our society. Or we could do like the United States, demonize people and punish them to help us win elections. I think we'll do that. Demonize the most vulnerable people in our society so we can win elections and suck up to the asshole right wing. That's what Hillary Clinton did.
Jimmy, I would rather give my money to the military than to a child.
Me, who wouldn't? I like to give my, instead of helping a child, make a bomb that blows up a child.
Yes.
Why not? The U.S. could do something similar to reach everyone in need, whether or not they're employed. In fact, according to the Century Foundation, enacting a child allowance that gives parents $2,500 for each child under the age of 6 would lift 3.2 million children out of poverty. Do you think we could afford that in America? Do you think we could do that? You want to lift 3.2 million? That's about as many people lived in Chicago when I lived there, 3 million people. You want to lift 3.2 million American children out of poverty? How about we give a stipend to parents, $2,500 if you have a kid under 6, like other countries do. Countries better than ours, by the way.
Can I ask one question really quickly? How much did we give to the banks every month?
We gave to the banks $80 billion a month for free. This would cost $17 billion to do every year.
Every year?
Every month, we gave Wall Street $80 billion for free. That's called quantitative easing. This is called quantitative fucking over poor people, what Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton did. You think that we could do that? No. And by the way, this isn't just so. And then when the economy did crash 10 years later, after Bill Clinton deregulated Wall Street, cut welfare, screwed over poor people at the same time, so when the economy did crash, as predicted, within 10 years, economy totally crashed, screwing over everybody except the rich people. You know what they did? They did austerity, and not just in the red states. At least 46 states responded to budget deficits during the recession by cutting welfare. But food stamps, a program where the federal government gives states more money when demand goes up, was able to rise 45%. So welfare, no, we can't. Even when the economy crashes, you know what we do? We screw poor people harder. The exact time they need it. So this isn't rational. That's not rational what we're doing. This is what failing states do. They keep giving more and more to the richer or oligarchs who think they can retreat to their private cities, their gated communities. And then the society falls. That's where we're heading. So why do I bring all this up? Because, Hillary Clinton proposes a plan that would lift millions out of poverty. That's what she's doing now. That's what she's doing 20 years later after effing over all those people. Now, 20 years later, now I want to be president. I got an idea. Maybe I can help someone. Instead of blowing people up and propping up right-wing governments and exporting fracking and more deregulation and wars around the world, maybe I could do something that would help someone. Clinton announced that as president, she would seek to expand the child tax credit. Oh, what a great idea. Doubling the maximum a family can receive from the government from $1,000 to $2,000 for each child up to age 4.
Yeah, because you know how cheap kids are after the age of 4. They don't need anything.
They don't need any help after that. The Center for Budget and Policy Priorities estimated that more than 14 million families would get some increased income from Clinton's plan. Not nothing. At least it's not going the other way. And those who would benefit the most are the people who have at least 5, who have the least. So the people she screwed over for 20 years, threw them in prison, bankrupted them, took money away from kids. Now she's got a little. She's going to give him an extra $1,000 a year tax credit.
Totally will take the edge off.
5.2 million people living in deep poverty. This will help. Those people are defined as earning an income below half the poverty line, or about $10,000 for a family of 3. Those people would see more money. Can you imagine 3 people living on $10,000? In the end, this proposed expansion of the child tax credit alone would lift 1.5 million above the poverty line and push another 9.4 million closer to it. Clinton's plan then would be a partial response to this sharp increase in need. Partial response. Sending more assistance to families in deep poverty, but the child tax credit is only available to families with income. Those who, for whatever reason, can't find a job would be left out of her new program.
That's actually not true. Part of her program is to increase the income threshold or decrease the income threshold to qualify for the income tax credit.
So everybody would qualify?
Kind of. I mean, like I don't know if it's.
Again, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, but the part of the way the old system worked was that I think you had to make something like $3,000 a year to get $1,000 back or something like that. I think her program is actually specifically designed to
even if you don't make money, you can get something from this?
Yeah, you can kind of get something out of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she has proposed other things. In fact, Clinton has laid out other ways she would seek help to low-income Americans. She's promised to increase spending on affordable housing developments, double spending on early Head Start for low-income families with young children, which they cut during the Depression or the recession or the big. They cut Head Start. They do the exact opposite, irrational responses. To increase the minimum wage. She's for increasing the minimum wage a little bit. She guaranteed paid family leave and child care assistance, and she would invest in jobs, whatever that means.
Whatever that means. I am still waiting since...
That's the program. I just showed you one program. That's her one program, Steph. She's going to help. That will help people. So you can't say she doesn't have anything that will help people. She at least has that. And I want to...
It would seem like she's just correcting past errors.
She's trying to very little. Again, what they just said.
Incremental.
What they said, I like with the way Clinton's plan would be a partial response to the sharp increase in need that was caused by her in the 90s.
But these all feel like Obama plans that he just hasn't been able to get through.
Sounds
and
like
I think
right?
a lot of them are. I know that he was trying to get Head Start money going, and he wanted a jobs bill, and they wouldn't. It was a non-starter. I mean, these all sound like basically the things that she basically borrowed everything that they wouldn't pass in the Congress,
and so there's no.
Well,
threat.
maybe I can get these things fucking passed.
And that's why you see some Democrats in the Senate now go, hey, we're gonna reintroduce the public option, which of course they know won't go anywhere and nothing will happen. So they can get points for proposing it, which they do, and she can get points for proposing this, which she will. Well, like you said, whether it'll be implemented, everyone knows that the Republican Congress is going to, just like they did to Obama, they're going to oppose everything she proposes unless it's a right-wing thing. You know how many people that Obamacare originally conceived at the Heritage Foundation, implemented by Mitt Romney. When Barack Obama went to implement that same thing, not one Republican voted for it.
Right.
Not one. Which means they could have passed single payer if the Democrats got together. If Barack Obama would have led, and the Democrats, because the Democrats controlled everything, so you can't.
There were a lot of blue dogs who.
That's what I'm saying, Democrats. But Democrats.
But I know, but there were a lot of blue dogs who wouldn't have voted for single payer.
Correct.
That's the sad thing.
That is the sad thing. That the Democrats had complete control. So you can't blame Republicans for a Republican nightmare called Obamacare. You have to blame Democrats, because it's the Democrats who fucking passed it. And it's the Democrats who fought for it, and it's the Democrats who instituted it. Not one Democrat fought for the goddamn single payer. So anyway, there you go. That's there's something. Hillary Clinton's given us a little something. You know, if you remember FDR, what he told the ruling class was that, hey, if you want to keep most of your money, you have to give some of your money away. Otherwise, there's going to be a revolution, because there was real revolutions happening, like what just happened in Germany.
Right.
And he's saying, if you don't want to see that crap happening here, you got to do this. And they did. And so this is like on such a minuscule scale. That's why you're supposed to have job programs. That's why workers are supposed to get a raise. That's why you're supposed to have unions, right? Even though the rich are going to be super rich and everything, everybody else gets to have a modicum of a life. And now you're taking it away. And this isn't the first time a society's done this. They do it again. And how are we doing it? We're over expanding militarily. Just like all the failed empires. We're doing it. And Hillary Clinton is going to do it even more. And in 4 years, we're going to be in such a worse place than we are right now. It's going to make your fucking head spin. The banks are going to crash. We're going to be in more wars. We might have we might have a revolution. We already had one in this country. Get ready for another one. And it ain't going to be the kind you like.